This week, we welcome Kelly Rozumalski, Senior Vice President at Booz Allen Hamilton, to discuss how the cyber talent gap impacts national security. In the Leadership and Communications section, 5 top qualities you need to become a next-gen CISO. Ego is the enemy of good leadership. How to explain things better, and more. Business Security Weekly starts now.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where we explore the business of security to improve the security of business. Your trusted source for actionable insights on leadership, communication, and innovation. Get ready for Business Security Weekly.
The shift to remote and hybrid work over the past 2 years has accelerated application development on cloud infrastructure. However, securing these new assets has lagged behind. Qualys CloudView, the next generation cloud security posture management, delivers an end-to-end multi-cloud security and compliance solution encompassing the entire application lifecycle from build to runtime. CloudView enables enterprises to assess their cloud security and compliance posture, identify risks and gaps, auto-remediate issues, proactively enforce best practices, and prove compliance and audits rapidly and efficiently. Identify your most vulnerable cloud assets by visiting securityweekly.com/Qualys. The cybersecurity landscape is full of single solution providers, making it easy for unexpected cyber threats to sneak through the cracks. That's why Fortra is creating a stronger, simpler strategy for protection, one that increases your security maturity while decreasing the operational burden that comes with it. This is all possible thanks to Fortra's best-in-class portfolio and deep bench of expert problem solvers. Fortra's integrated, scalable solutions help customers face their toughest challenges with confidence. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Fortra. According to the 2022 Data Breach Investigations Report, 82% of breaches involve the human element. Yet most security awareness and training programs focus on compliance requirements, not the risk humans pose to your organization. Living Security is the leader in human risk management. This new approach transforms human risk into proactive defense by quantifying human risk. By understanding your riskiest and most vigilant users and activities, you can engage these segments of your workforce with relevant training, communications, and policies to truly change their behaviors. If your goal is to finally change your workforce's behavior, visit securityweekly.com/living security to learn more today.
Welcome to Business Security Weekly. This is episode number 287, recorded December 5th, 2022. I am your host, Matt Alderman. Joining remotely are my co-hosts. First, welcome back, Mr. Jason Albuquerque.
It's great to be back. We haven't caught up on football in a while. What are we at now? End of week 13, I think we're at?
Yeah, like Deshaun Watson looks bad and Cleveland still wins. The Buckeyes somehow mess up the game and still get in the college football playoff. Like, oh my gosh, so much to catch up on.
I know, a ton. And I don't know. I don't know if my Patriots are going to make it into the playoffs this year. It's sad.
Yeah, little sad. Also joining us remotely from the great state of Idaho, Mr. Tyler Robinson. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you. And for the rest of the world, the quarterfinals are underway. Brazil is killing everybody right now, so the real football is happening.
Yes, the U.S. is out, so it's over for all of us. Yeah.
Portugal's still in it.
Portugal and Argentina are still there. It'll be an interesting matchup.
Yep. Yes, it will. Join our Discord channel to chat with our hosts, ask questions, customize live stream alerts, and more. Visit securityweekly.com/Discord to receive an invite. Kelly Rozumalski is a senior vice president leading Booz Allen's national cyber defense business. She develops solutions that address some of the nation's top cybersecurity challenges, including protecting critical infrastructure, safeguarding connected devices, securing the supply chain, and defending the federal enterprise against cyber threats. Consulting Magazine named Kelly a 2021 Woman Leader in Technology, honored for excellence in innovation. In addition, Kelly leads cyber talent programs to help Booz Allen attract and retain the industry's top talent. Kelly, welcome to Business Security Weekly.
Matt, thank you for having me. And more importantly, Tyler, thank you for reminding everybody about the real football that is going on right now. So very, very, very excited for the World Cup. But Matt, no, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, and when we prepped for this interview last week, we were talking about the challenges around the cyber talent gap, which we know. We've talked about it on the show. We've talked a lot about different ways to address it. Jason spends a lot of time in Rhode Island with the school districts and education programs, like a lot of conversations on this. But what I thought was interesting was this concept of how it's actually impacting national security. Because we have, what was it, like 770,000 open jobs and postings, it's actually causing some challenges with our national security. And I don't think people equate hiring good cyber talent to national security, but there is a tie there.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. And the fact is we do have thousands and thousands of open cyber positions across the industry. And we need to make a commitment to developing the cyber workforce. Threats continue to become more and more sophisticated, and we need to have the resources with the right skills to combat them. And without this specialized talent, organizations are at risk. And frankly, to your point, the cyber talent gap puts our national security at risk. And the reason for that is because cyber attacks have grown much more frequent, much more severe, and it's because the critical infrastructure sectors face a very complex attack surface. Operational technology systems are no longer air-gapped away from IT environments. Traditional cyber tools are coming up short because they are not interconnected. And unfortunately, we've seen cyber attacks to energy systems as an example. They can shut down critical energy infrastructure, disrupt energy supply, the economy, and frankly, the health of American consumers. So we really do need to focus on this war for talent and make sure that we have the right cyber practitioners in place to defend our nation.
Yeah, when we've had Jen Easterling on from CISA, we've talked about this with her, right, in certain areas. Like, I think CISA's done a lot of good to educate and to go out and build programs to bring in talent. And we've also seen, like, movement in the job, not only the positions, but the pay rates for some of these positions. Like, they're opening up new levels of salaries for these people because they're hard to find. Are we still struggling to find the talent, even though we've taken care of maybe some of the pay issues that might have been in the private segment before?
We are. I think CISA is a great example that they've done a lot of good in this area. But I will say that even with making changes to salaries, we're still seeing an issue and a gap in this area. And I think one thing that we need to continue to focus on is, focus on more diverse backgrounds and skill sets. We need people with both the technical know-how, but also soft skills like program management, emotional intelligence, communication backgrounds. We can't just focus on technical talent and folks with cyber expertise. We need to broaden the landscape for these other skill sets because we can't fill the positions today with the skill sets of 5 years ago. So we need to be more diverse in the types of resources that we're looking at so we can fill these gaps.
So Kelly, this is somewhere like Matt had alluded to. I spend a lot of time on, right? The cybersecurity workforce, K through 12, higher ed, making sure we're building that pipeline. I look at it this way. We have two problems. We have the short-term problem, right? Which is the existing jobs, the existing openings that we can't fill. Then we have a long-term pipeline issue. That long-term pipeline issue, right now, if you look at the demographics, I think it's less than 30% of the cybersecurity workforce is age 19 to 34. That's a huge pipeline issue, right? So, I'm interested to hear your thoughts around, number one, what's a great way to tackle the short term, right? Short-term problem, fill those gaps. You kind of alluded to it, change our HR hiring practices, open up how we think about cybersecurity expertise. I have a saying, let's not be unicorn hunters. Let's be unicorn farmers. Let's build the talent, help groom the talent, because it's hard to find a unicorn these days, right? Or ever, and start building that talent. And then long-term, what can we be doing to start influencing kids, let's say at middle school, to find out if they have the attitude and the aptitude for cybersecurity. So when they get to high school, they have a focus area. Not everyone's built to go to university, right? So how do we create a workforce that when they graduate high school, maybe they can get in the workforce and then eventually go to school when they're ready? There's so much to this, but it's a short-term and a long-term problem. Because if we only focus on the short term, the pipeline will disappear.
Yeah, Jason, I agree. I think from a short-term standpoint, we as leaders and as hiring managers need to change what we're doing on our end, right? To the point that I made previously is historically, we've been so focused on resources that check all the boxes, on resources that have existing cyber expertise and technical background. We can't do that anymore. We don't have the time, and there aren't enough resources to fill all the needs that we have. So from a short-term standpoint, we need to alter the ways that we are hiring people, and we need to go out to different places. I think historically, especially pre-pandemic, everybody was so focused on college campuses, going to campuses and interviewing people and hiring people with those degrees. We can't do that anymore. We need to be going to conferences. We need to really diversify the types of avenues and the places that we're going to hire this talent and to find these types of resources. And we need to be focused on these resources that, have the right attitude, who want to work hard, who want to learn, and then we can upskill them internally. And I think from a long-term standpoint for K through 12, we really need to start embedding cybersecurity courses into more of our schools, starting as young as elementary school, all the way up obviously up to, college and beyond, graduate degrees. We need to make sure that we're embedding our schools and our teachers with the knowledge to upskill our resources and to really make sure that they understand the risk that cyber, that these adversaries can do to our critical infrastructure sector. So I 100% agree. It's a short-term problem. It's a long-term problem, but it's one piece that we need to tackle with the resources themselves. But the biggest problem today is something that we can control ourselves with the types of talent that we hire and that we look for proactively.
So when we mean going to conferences, I assume it's not going to the security conferences because that's our existing skill set, right? It was interesting. I got an email today from the Call Centers Expo, and I was thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute. There's probably a lot of people in that Call Center Expo group that have some really interesting communication skills and probably some technical know-how that could be a very interesting fit. So I assume it's going to conferences in adjacency areas where the talent might be that we could then kind of leverage and pull back into the cyber side.
100%. I mean, there are conferences of varying different skill sets and backgrounds that would become very applicable to cyber. I mean, me, myself, I graduated with a marketing degree, did not know anything about cyber, started an internship in cyber, and turns out I loved it and I'm okay at it today, right? But I think the thing is we need to broaden that scope and we need to go out and talk to individuals with different backgrounds. But whether it be on the digital side, on the transformation side, cloud computing, there are so many different psychology. I can't tell you the number of practitioners on my team that have psychology backgrounds that have grown into some of my deepest, most technical cyber resources. So 100% agree with you, Matt. We really need to diversify the events that we go to find this top talent. I think the other thing is we need to make sure that we're partnering with organizations like STEM Girls for Social Good, Black Girls Code. There's so many different organizations out there that really provide a critical role as we're trying to diversify our talent pool.
I think a lot of the other side of this coin, that long-term strategy, also comes down to a cultural shift, right? We've always ingrained into our kids, 4-year degrees are great, 8-year degrees are better, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, something that's going to make a lot of money. Kind of bringing around that cyber as a trade and certificates as a means to an end, and that continual growth pattern that doesn't always require college. I'm 100% not against college, but in order to get our field up to where it needs to be, we really do have to start relying on things outside of 4-year degrees that take forever and build a lot of debt that, students are already starting behind on an academia program that's not going to get them the skills they need to hop into some of the jobs that we're looking at.
Agreed. No, I definitely agree with that. I think so many of the resources that we identify today that turn into our top talent don't have 4-year degrees, right? A lot of I would say the most applicable and best experience is that hands-on experience when they're, at hand-to-hand combat with the adversaries, when they're sitting there with our clients every day, immersed in their deepest, most critical missions. Those are the types of resources I want on my team. Certifications, degrees, all of those are 100% important. I agree with you. But at the same time, you can't buy that hands-on experience. So we really need to be looking at resources that have that.
Is that something that a lot of companies are open to, or we're starting to see a lot more openness? Like Booz Allen, for example, the kind of internship programs, a lot of the Jason's talked about this before. We need a journeyman's program for cyber, 1,000%. Like that would help get that hands-on, see the real world, see where the gaps are that they need to be diving in on so that they can identify their own skill gaps. Those are important things that we just don't have.
Yeah, I think we're really starting to see a transition to that. I think in the past, right, a lot of us as hiring managers had to go out and find people with degrees or certain certifications. I think we've realized very quickly that we have to transform that, or we're going to be behind the 8 ball, right? We can't find the right talent quick enough. So we have to be more creative. And one thing that we do at Booz Allen is we have something called a Cyber Tech Excellence Program. And this is where we train and upskill a diverse cyber workforce for roles in cloud engineering, data science, machine learning, DevSecOps. And a lot of these people start these programs with no cyber or technical background at all. And then they leave with new cyber certifications and, more importantly, hands-on experience that they can bring into their client spaces. So I know we do a lot of those programs, and I know a lot of other industry partners do those programs as well, because we have to be a little bit more creative, and we can't expect that upskilling to be happening other places. We have to be willing to invest in it internally.
Yeah,
Is that a conversation? Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask, is that a conversation that we're taking to hiring managers, to places or people that are doing this? Like, you guys seem very progressive and have an understanding of that maturity and how to hire the proper ones. I would say across the board, that is not the case. So is that discussion happening, and where can we as cybersecurity professionals kind of integrate and help along those lines?
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think it's happening more and more. I mean, we are hearing that happen. When I go and brief college students, we're hearing their professors, preach that to them. We're hearing, when we go out, Booz Allen, to conferences, we hear, our other industry partners doing the same thing. So, I'm a little bit biased. I think what we are doing at Booz Allen is fabulous, but I also think a lot of the other top cyber companies across the nation are doing something similar, because they know that they won't be able to compete. They won't be able to fill their clients' most critical challenges if they don't do something like that. So if they're not doing it now, they're going to have to start to do it very quickly.
And Kelly, I can't say this enough, and I can't evangelize for this enough. We often, as we're speaking about the industry, say we need to, we should, we have to. Well, this is my call to action. We means all of you cybersecurity leaders out there in the workforce. You have to engage with your Department of Education. You have to engage with your HR departments. You have to be out there engaging with policymakers. You have to be out there. There's not enough of us. We can't influence everyone. We have to be out there making a stand. This is the call to action. When we say we need to, this means you, cybersecurity leaders out there. Get involved. I get involved with Girl Scouts to make sure they get their cybersecurity badges, right? That's what we need to be doing. We need to be out there evangelizing. We need to put skin in the game. We will not be able to tackle this problem unless we all get involved.
Yeah, I agree, Jason. I think that brings up this really popular topic that we've heard a lot across the industry lately, which is around public-private partnership, and the fact that is the foundation for effective national security and timely information sharing among stakeholders. And we talk a lot about information sharing when it comes to critical cyber vulnerabilities, but this information sharing around how we can better hire and retain talent is just as important, right? So making sure that the private industry, that, .com, .mil, .gov, all of these different entities and industries and critical infrastructure sectors are working together to solve this problem is very, very important.
Yeah, and Kelly, you said hire and retain. You skipped a step in there. It's hire, train, and retain, I think, right? Because if we are hiring from other backgrounds, there is a training component to this. You've talked about some of the programs you have at Booz Allen to do this, but people have to realize that if you're hiring talent that doesn't have the background, you're going to have training programs in place to get them upskilled, to give them the skill sets that they need. That is a conscious component of the whole hire and train piece. Any recommendations, like anything you can share about what's working at Booz Allen and what other companies should be looking at to train and upskill their employee base?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Upskilling and reskilling programs are definitely an investment that everybody should be making. And, to your point, it helps us build and train our talent, but it's also a really good mechanism to help retain our talent, right? Because the resources that we're finding today, they don't want to just be involved in one thing. They don't want to just have one skill set. They want to have the opportunity to be trained and learn how to do things a different way and to learn new skills. So we have a lot of resources that come in with, let's say, cloud background, but they want to transition into a data scientist. We offer programs like this. Our Cyber Tech Excellence program really gives staff that has zero background to staff that might have already graduated with a graduate degree in cyber. It gives them the opportunity to invest in themselves and to take new courses and to not only leave those programs with new certifications, but it also provides them with hands-on experience that they can then bring into their client spaces. So I definitely cannot, Matt, emphasize enough the importance of training our talent to not only make them more equipped for the job, but also to make them more excited to try something new and to stay at Booz Allen. I think one of the most important things, and I've been at Booz Allen for about 14 years now, is I've been able to have multiple different careers, but at the same place, at the same company, because I've had the opportunity to try something new and be trained and reskilled in new capability areas.
Yeah, and I think it's that involvement, that engagement is so important because we see it every day. Recruiters coming in, trying to grab that top talent, right? Because there is such a small pool. The recruiters are going crazy. Like the stuff we've seen, even at Living Security, and we're not that big of a company, it's crazy how much these salaries are being driven up by these recruiting firms going out and trying to pick this talent, right? And every organization that doesn't create a career path or a way for people to get different experiences in the job are susceptible to getting pulled out. And now you've got to go hire a backfill because you couldn't retain your talent.
Yeah, nope, I agree with that. And I think that brings up this really important topic around retention. I think, and when we talk about retention, one of the most important things that we focus on in the cyber area right now is how important it is that we offer our staff a good work-life balance with flexible hours. I think everybody knows that we're seeing burnout across the industry with our cyber staff. Those of us in the cyber field serve a very critical and important job. Not only do, our staff have to make sure that we're proactively defending our networks, but we also are still dealing with the repercussions of a lot of our workforces going remote and then the security risk that comes along with that. So I think the workload that keeps coming on our cyber practitioners is increasing and increasing. So to avoid burnout and to make sure that we're retaining that top talent, we need to make sure that we're offering a good work-life balance. And we can't do that if we don't have enough cyber practitioners, right? So again, it all comes back to the importance of identifying, building, training, and retaining this top talent. Or, Matt, to your point, we're going to start losing folks to those recruiters when they call. So there's a lot of important things that we need to be doing to make sure that we retain this talent.
Yeah, and they're calling every day. Like
they are.
The number,
Unfortunately,
yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean they're like hawks, man. They are just out looking.
And they're good at
to
it.
hire.
They're good at their job.
Well, I mean,
this is why I talked about it as farming, right? When you're out there hunting talent, you're out there targeting talent, trying to bring them in. When you're farming talent, it's care and feeding and nurturing over time, right? So that's why farming your staff and farming your bench and farming your employees is so important, because it's not a hunting exercise. This is farming and building and nurturing and caring. And really taking that time, right? That's where people want to stay. They want to stay with an organization who's going to put the time to make them successful, right? Give them that work-life balance, invest in them, really get to know them and care for their careers and their professional development.
Yeah, I think connection, right? Engagement. I think we've all mentioned those words are incredibly important. Whether you're a cyber practitioner in a completely different field, but we need to make sure that we have that engagement, that connection with our staff. That we have something at Booz Allen called Motivation Menu, and basically it's very simple. It's about understanding what motivates your staff. Right? Some of them want more money. Some of them want new career opportunities. Some of them want promotion. Everybody wants something different. But if we don't know what our staff want, if we're not engaged and connected to them, why would they stay? So I think really, truly connecting with our staff, engaging with them on a daily basis. This isn't just a weekly call or a monthly call. It's networking with them at all levels. It's providing them with additional opportunities to meet new resources. We really, truly, it seems so simple, but I think unfortunately it's one of the hardest things that, we've seen across our industry is the fact that we need to make time to engage with our staff. And it's as simple as that. And I think if we do that, we're in a much better position.
Yeah, I think the pandemic has hurt some of that, right? We were so used to being in the office and we had the water cooler and, people would just walk into your office. Any recommendations in a primarily remote world? Like, how do you do that effectively? We talk about pieces on the show, but it's so important to have that connection, but it's hard when you're not in the office all the time.
It is. And our talent attraction and retention strategy here at Booz Allen has had to evolve tremendously since the pandemic. I mean, from, like I said before, we were so used to going out to college campuses and meeting somebody face to face. The virtual attraction methods, virtual interviews and events are much more vital now, and they've proven to be very effective as well. I think in terms of the connectivity, I think finally we're all very used to, these different methods of connecting with people, virtually and just picking up the phone. We have to get used to the fact that we don't need to schedule 30 minutes in person with our leaders anymore to network and to tell them how we feel. Pick up the phone, send a text message. I mean, that's been so much more critical, and we have to make sure that we're doing that. I think the other thing, and I'm not sure, I know it happened before the pandemic, but I continue to hear about it from my staff a ton nowadays, is when we're hiring and retaining people, now more than ever, people want to make sure that they're making a real world impact. They don't just want to come in and work the same job every day from 9 to 5. They want to make sure that they're embedded in our clients' most critical missions, that they're truly not just working and making Booz Allen better, but making the world better. And I think we as leaders, when we connect with our staff, we need to make sure that they truly understand what role they play in the bigger, cybersecurity ecosystem. Because I think right now we're hearing that more and more from staff than we ever have before. And again, I'm not sure if it's because of the pandemic or just changes in mission and the importance in that, but it's something that we need to make sure that we're engaged with our staff on.
Never underestimate the value of purpose.
Yes.
It matters. It definitely does. Jason, Tyler, any additional questions for Kelly while we have her?
No, I think this has been an outstanding conversation, and this is the call to action. Like I mentioned earlier, we as leaders in cybersecurity need to be out there evangelizing for this, fighting the good fight and helping shore up that short-term strategy and long-term strategy, because we need both ends firing all cylinders.
Absolutely. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us on Business Security Weekly.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to take a quick break and then cover the leadership and communications articles for this week.